They said it was all over before they knew what was up. They didn't sense it at all at first. They said all it was, they were sitting there, and then they struck the deck, then came down again in a heap on the floor. They got up on deck, dazed-like, and there she was, a complete wreck. The man at the wheel was lashed, but he said afterwards when he felt her go over, he thought it was all up with him. He held on for dear life and never lost his grip as he went through the water, but it's a terrible strain on a man, and he was pretty nigh gone. They took him below and did all they could for him, and after they got into port he was laid up for a long time. He did finally come around, all right. It was about the narrowest escape ever heard of for a vessel. They had a fair wind on the lee side of the shoal. The current was in their favor, so they worked their way off and finally fell in with a vessel which towed them home. The facts in the case are as described. The man who owned the vessel was Andrew Layton of Gloucester, and the captain who sailed her was named Bierce. Like Mr. Peter acknowledges his sinfulness in being at the potter's house, saying, I was invited by Lennox and John Stone and wife, and was at Stone's house from whence we were fetched to ye potters. Benjamin Felton deposed being at Mr. Pester's. Quid said, he was at Plymouth, and it was after I came from Plymouth, yet he was invited by Vincent, and he was there in my absence. Quid also witnessed it was at dinner, yet himself invited by William Vincent. Goody Hardy deposed. I saw Mr. Pester, his hose unfastened, between 8 and 9 in the morning, and he seemed to me as if he had lain all night there. Goody Felton and Goody Pride also deposed. Moon rose about 11 or 12 o'clock at night. Left Goody Vincent there and Mr. Pester and nobody else. William Vincent and Harry were left at the house at 8 o'clock. This was about November 2nd. Of old times, there was a very beautiful woman, and she turned all heads of men. She married, and her husband died soon after. She took another, and he died. Within a single year, she had 5. And they all died. And they were the cleverest and handsomest there were. And she married again. The 6th was such a silent man, he passed for a fool, but he was wiser than people thought. And he figured to find out what was up with this woman. He watched her all the time. He kept his eye on her day and night. It was summer, and she proposed that they go into the woods and camp there to pick berries. When they were in, she had the idea he'd go ahead and pick the spot, and he allowed he would, only he doubled back and watched her from there out. As soon as she believed that he was gone, she went rapidly on. He followed, unseen, until she came to a pond among rocks in a deep, wild place in the woods. She sat down and sang a song. A great foam or froth rose to the surface, and in it appeared the back and tail of a great serpent, an immense beast. The woman, who had taken off her clothes, embraced the creature, which twined around her, winding inside her arms and legs, until her body was one mass of his. The husband watched it all, saw that the serpent let go his venom into her, and that this was what she was passing on to her husband, to live by transforming it to others. And he passed swiftly to the camping ground and built a place for the night. He laid 2 beds and built a fire. His wife came. She was in earnest that they sleep together. He bade her sternly to lie by herself. She laid down and went to sleep. 3 times during the night he got up to replenish the fire. Each time he called her, but she didn't answer. In the morning he shook her, and she was dead. They sunk her in the pond where the snake lived. They said she went off fucking every Sunday, only she said she walked straight through the mountain, and who fucked her was the spirit of that mountain. Okay, I'll try this.
You can do it, Charles.
A Maximus. A's of why, thinking of why such questions as security and the great white death, what did not Paine have said, some such point as Soldier's practical navigator, who did use other people's monies as different from his own, isn't the actuarial, the real base of life, since, and is different from usury altogether, is the thing which made all the vulgar socialization, socialism, culturalism, liberalism, jazzism, why I don't have gotten it all further. Pound, a person of the poem. Farini, Hammond, Stevens, Griffiths. John Smith, fish. Conant's ships. Higginson's, Bowditch, Lou Douglas, Fisherman, Hawkins's, Carl Olson, Walter Burke, John Burke's houses. John Wright, finance. John Winthrop, wood. Economicos, sculpture. Marine architecture. The plum, the flower. The Renaissance of box. Cosmos, the savage god, Agyasta, the economics and poetics thereafter, primitive, buttocks, etc. The prior,